drink. I've just mixed a cocktail. Oh boy, what a view. 6 more of these, single pistols and you.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome back. That was a band called The Business singing a song called Drinking and Driving, and they say it's so much fun, but I don't know that I agree with that, honestly. Uh, I've never been drinking and driving, and never have. I know you guys, you angels out there, would never do so either. Actually, I guess it's not a joking matter. It's a pretty serious issue. But the song that they sing is rather comical. In fact, used to close with that song appropriately enough. Uh, at a bar that I worked at, DJ'd at, Eastside Tavern back in good old Columbia, Missouri. And wow, those were the days. I'll spare you the war stories, but suffice to say, spent many afternoon, evening there. Yeah, I won't delve into that, but wow, I could I could go on forever with stories. But anyhow, this is Hexes and Soldiers. My name is Jason, and this is episode number 41. So I think it's been about another 3 months. I apologize for those of you that care a little bit about this show. Would like to do it a little more often than I have, but just doesn't work out that way. Things get in the way and interject themselves and barricade my entrance into a frequent show producing flow, but that's just how it goes. I hope you guys have been okay. And where will we start? Let's jump right into shout outs. And I'm going to give a particular shout out this time to anybody and everybody out there that is suffering from burnout. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Number of reasons for that. But anybody out there that is just completely burned out with wargaming, and you know who you are. Don't be shy. That shout out is for you. And as I said, we'll get to that in a second. But first, I'm going to do a little some self-revelation here and let you guys know what's been going on in my life. Nothing too exciting, I assure you. It's all been rather low-key. Did pick up a bike, and haven't ridden a bike since I guess the last time I rode a bike. More specifically, my goodness, you know, it's been so long, decades probably, since I've gotten on a bike and pedaled, but did so just not 2 weeks ago, and as I live about a stone's throw away from where I work, I decided it's ridiculous to get in my car and drive there and back every day, what, a quarter of a mile. So finally broke down, got a decent bike, been doing that. Plus, you know, there's the exercise and save the earth and all that stuff. But yeah, enjoy the bike riding, and I think my record is 8 miles. I went on a ride the other day along right along the lake here, Lake Pontchartrain, and when I came back, I was so curious. I got in my car and retraced the same route I rode. Comes out to 8 miles, so I guess that explains why I was tired, and I kept pedaling the whole way. Worked myself, so that was fun. What else? Fall is here, thank God. Finally. Thank Buddha, thank Muhammad, thank, you know, all the above. What a long wait. You know, summer is just fine and dandy in theory, on paper, as an idea. But as a working, realistic concept, It sucks. Sorry, but summer is just, at least here, and I've whined about this before, but just hot, miserable, awful. Can't breathe, not hungry, tired. Walk outside and feel like yeah, you just got out of the bathtub. Everything's wet and you haven't even done anything to start sweating. Nevertheless, you're wet. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Fall's here, thank God. So no more of that business. Um, should be low to mid 80s from here on out until winter time. Um, but with fall, also heralds the beginning of yet another long celebrated pastime of mine, and that is anybody hockey. That's right. It's that time of year again. And I mentioned that to people, and they say, "Oh, already? What do you mean already? It's been like months since the last hockey game. Not to mention since the last time the Blues played. Yes, I'm still waving the St. Louis Blues fan flag. I'm, yeah, I should know better, but anyway, I do. Um, we'll see how they do this year. They actually got rid of one of the faces of the team, probably one of the better players in the league, in TJ Oshie. I've traded him for somebody who was on the face of it, it looks like the other team got the better deal in getting Oshie, but we'll see. I won't go into all the conjecture regarding the trade or the team or how they might do this year. You can, and people get paid to do this, I understand, and come up with what they think the team will do and all this stuff. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter till playoff time what they do, what they might do, what they did do. It isn't until April, at least in hockey, when the playoffs start, that everything counts. So, got a ways to go till then. What else? H&S Games, my little fledgling war game company, is officially over 1 year old now. Mentioned that on Facebook. Kind of proud of that. From wargamer to podcaster to business owner slash game designer slash developer, etc. Yeah, a little over 1 year old now, and Platoon Leader's been doing well. Hasn't exactly been flying off the shelf, admittedly. I'll be honest, but the shelf has not been able to gain dust either. Um, I guess it's safe to say, numbers wise, I think I'm just a hair shy of 250 units sold, which might sound like pittance to some of you, but hey, to me, I'm very proud of that. And sorry, but I'll just take the time here to thank everybody who's made a purchase, and it means a lot. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, uh, when I started this thing, would have been satisfied just to sell one. Just the fact that one person out there would be interested enough to pay money to delve into this idea that I had and explore it is gratifying enough. But when you consider that, yeah, just short of 250 of these things have been sent out is pretty gratifying as well. Of course, do a quick plug for Ostfront. That's still on schedule, going to be released this Christmas. I'll leave it at that. Won't bore you guys with all that stuff. But happy birthday, H&S Games. Proud of that. So that leaves what else we got here? Some other stuff. We've got kind of come up with had a thought the other day. I thought I'd share with you guys, see what you think. Been watching some of you guys out there. No names mentioned. Kev, Sharp, Callendale. Did I say that? Anyway, kind of got an idea that I thought would be interesting. Both of those guys seem to be probably, unless obviously I'm not aware of everybody out there, and I apologize, but they seem to be the most prolific gamers, at least by way of posting what they're doing. That's not to say that people that don't post as much don't play as much, but as far as being publicly recognized, it has to be Kev Sharp and Callendale. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, go hit up Big Board Gaming and or Callendale, who guy's a character. I mean that in an endearing way. Callendale, I think last time I checked, was banned from Board Game Geek for being a little too animated and excited about what he was posting. Not sure, probably an argument somewhere in there. I don't know the whole story, but the guy isn't on Board Game Geek anymore, and I find that interesting. So he started his own thread, and I apologize, Callendale, because I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. I did not prepare much pre-show stuff this episode, but stuff's out there. Anyway, I digress. Got to thinking, would it not be awesome to see a head-to-head match against these two guys who many of us have followed for a long time? To see themselves pit each other against each other. And yeah, a lot of you out there are probably like, why the competition thing? But would that not be interesting? And have, say, somebody MC it or referee it. Maybe you could put it on live on, say, Google Hangouts or something like that. A game that could be compressed into enough time that it could be shown and viewed and finished in a reasonable amount of time. What game that would be, I don't know. Callendale is a self-professed, not a hater, but he dislikes World War II tactical stuff, and I know Kev likes it a fair amount. I'm not sure, Callendale-wise, in general, if he's against tactical stuff. But the guy likes more strategic, political, oriented stuff, and I get it. But personally, for me, it's just too removed. I don't know. There's maybe I don't have a god complex or something. I just don't. I don't appreciate it like other people do, so I tend not to do it. Kev has gamed a fair amount, at least from what unless he's a closet, strictly a closet tactical gamer, which I'm sure he's not. He's gamed a fair amount of operational strategic stuff and digs it. So, cut a long story short, I thought it'd be interesting to pit the two against each other, post it live on, say, Google Hangout, Skype, what have you. You get the point. And have somebody referee it. Say, like, I don't know off the top of my head. The guys from Advance After Combat, there, I plugged a show. Have them call it, kind of like they do during golf, because there's not a lot of stuff constantly going on during golf. In fact, I think the only thing golf is good for is insomnia and hangovers. You lay on the couch, you watch golf, you feel better because you're slightly distracted and relaxed. What else? Have the guys specifically, what Dave is his name, I think, would be a hoot to listen to referee and call the game as moves are being made, etc. Again, what game that would be, I guess you guys could help me out. But things like this get started as a joke and then they become a reality. So you guys think, yeah, that would be funny. Someday we might actually see that. Would love to see that, in fact. We'll get a kick out of that. Speaking of Advance After Combat, and I've been meaning to mention this for some time, always forget, and I know they'll never do it because I know what they probably have put up with in putting up with this gentleman, which is why they no longer put up with him. But I think you guys, if you ever, Jason, if you're still listening to the show, honestly, get Marshall back on just one time. Doesn't even have to be a full show. Just one time, get him back on. Not necessarily as a guest, but like as in the capacity that he used to fulfill on the show. Just get him back on one time deal. That's it. Surely you guys are still on good terms. I'm sure there's no hard feelings. But it would be awesome because a lot of us, as much of a loose cannon as Marshall is, the man was entertaining, and a lot of us missed that. So I think it would be interesting to get him on, see where he's at these days and what he's been up to. But again, I seriously doubt you would do that. And I don't blame you necessarily. You know, I listened to another plug, Messy Game Room, which is Marshall's. I guess you could call it a war game podcast. It's a podcast, and he talks sporadically about war games. But I think the last one I listened to, I felt like I had been kidnapped, duct taped, and was being held in the closet while I was there. Overheard him just hanging out talking with a friend. Um, it was odd. I don't know why I kept listening. The old, you slow down when you pass a car wreck because you maybe want to see something you don't want to see or shouldn't see. I guess it was similar to that. You're listening because maybe you think you're going to hear something you don't want to hear or shouldn't hear. I don't know. Talked a lot about drinking and very little about gaming. But anyway, Messy Game Room, that's what Marshall's up to these days. I don't even know if he still does that show. But that's that. Bottom line is Kev Sharp, Callendale, you guys out there, let's come up with a game that they can play in a reasonable amount of time. Pit them against each other. We go watch it, have somebody referee it, MC it, what have you. I think that'd be a hoot. Yeah, so that's that. That brings us to something I mentioned earlier. Unless I failed to mention it, I'll mention it now. Burnout. With burnout, um, how do I start? Everybody's gone through it, and if you haven't, you will. If you're a gamer, um, give it time. For those of you that have, um, it's not the end of the world, is it? No, it's not. And everybody has their own way of dealing with it. And I guess the main reason I bring this up is because of a post from Kev Sharp. There he is again. He's going on in this video about how he's become disinterested in what he's doing, and he's got this other stuff going on, and he was trying to like this game, but he doesn't really like it, and he admires the system, but it just isn't doing it for him, and the ones that he does like aren't doing it. And he never says the word, but the man's burnout. That's the word for it, burnout. And I sent him a little message, and I said, "Hey, dude, you're burned out." And it happens to all of us. Don't freak out. There's a number of ways of dealing with it. Personally, when it comes to playing games, it's hard for me to get burned out because I tell you honestly, I don't play enough to get burned out. Not because I don't want to. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. I can't play that regularly that I would get burned out. I can see where a man like Kevin from Big Board would get burned out. The guy, and bless his heart, he doesn't just play. I don't know how often he plays and stops on average during a game to take pictures and write text and a narrative about a turn, much less a whole game, and post these things and post videos regarding these things. The guy, I don't know, he must be, he must live in some sort of special time zone where there's 5,000 hours in a day because I don't see how he gets the time. Obviously, he has a job that allows him the luxury of the time to do that. I don't know what that job is. It's none of my business. Good for him. But I don't have the time to do all that. So, again, it's hard for me to become burned out, unlike somebody like Kev, who spends so much time doing this stuff. And yeah, so burnout happens. It's going to happen. So yeah, I posted a little thing and I said, hey, it's called burnout, and here's what you do. My prescription, and I'm saying, not saying this will work for everybody, but I said, hey man, take 7 days and don't game. No rule books in the bathroom. No listening to wargame podcasts. No trolling Board Game Geek. Not that he would troll. It's just a figure of speech. No hitting up wargame Facebook pages. Nothing. No pushing counters, especially. In fact, you know, if you've got a wargame room, just shut the door and don't even go in it. for 7 days. It sounds like hell, but honestly, we forget as we're playing these things that this isn't life, and there is a whole world filled with life out there. One of the reasons, let's not kid ourselves, that we play these things is to escape reality and the world out there. Obviously, that's one of the biggest reasons I do it. But you have to draw the line somewhere, and you have to periodically step back in to the realm of the living, or you'll go nuts. So for 7 days, don't game, don't do nothing, and do something else. If you got a family, the time that you're spending gaming, spend that time with your family. You know, come up with another hobby. It sounds weird, but a lot of us would do well to have a distraction from our distraction. You know, wargaming for a lot of us is a distraction. Um, yeah, come up with a secondary hobby that you can go to when wargaming isn't doing it for you anymore, and you need an escape from your escape, whatever that may be. I don't know. You got to come up with the answers for yourself. For example, I started another blog, nothing to do with wargaming, just about movies. I watch movies. I want to share them with people. Something I see. It's also was also a way to help me, I guess, catalog what I've seen, so I can go back and just scroll through what I've seen. You know, you see so many movies, you forget them, and I'm tired of doing that. So, hey, started doing something else. You just do wargaming, you're going to risk getting burned out, and nobody likes that. It's not fun for anyone. Go outside, exercise. You know, you're going to do yourself a favor, and I hope I don't sound like I'm preaching. I'm just conversing here. Get exercise. You know, it doesn't have to be a daily regimen, you know, kill yourself thing. But in the long run, guess what? It's going to help your wargaming. Why? Because the best brain food out there is exercise. You go exercise, your brain is able to get more oxygen. You can concentrate for longer periods of time. Your focus is that much more intense. You know, a lot of people they're trying to take pills or vitamins, or they think if they eat nuts, you know, nuts are the brain food, that it's going to help their brain power, and it may to an extent, but the amount is minimal. I'm telling you, exercise, you'll notice a world of difference in your ability to sit for longer periods, and like I said, focus your attention on gaming. So there's that burnout, and I'm not sure I have anything else to say about that. Like I said, I hope I don't sound like I'm preaching, but maybe you guys, the echo with sentiment of Kevin's post below the show what you do for burnout, and it's an issue because wargaming is obviously something we all love, and when we can't do it and enjoy it, our whole world seems like it's been turned upside down. So that's that, and then that brings us to what else? Maybe I'll throw in a couple more plugs here and some complaints and some what's the word? Some rave reviews, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'll start with I've been diced, and I've got a on Hexes and Soldiers Facebook page. I've already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. I've been diced, that podcast with Tom Grant. A decent show. It's worth listening to, but more specifically, the guy just interviewed John Krantz, and you know, God love John Krantz because he's done so much for wargaming with Consum World, the website, Consum Expo. He's got games coming out now. The Hunters is a fantastic game, and everybody might be thinking, why the tribute to John? Well, he deserves it. He's done nothing. He hasn't given me money to say this stuff. The guy's done a lot of selfless things and taken a lot of time out of his life to do for the wargaming hobby, and it's greatly appreciated, John. Check out I've Been Diced podcast and the interview with John. It's quite enjoyable. That leaves Guns, Dice, and Butter, another podcast. Probably the one of the reasons I started this podcast because I got so tired of waiting for a new episode to come out. I just thought, I'll just start my own. I really enjoy his show, and I would rather it come out infrequently and be quality stuff than come out every week and be junk. I get that, but dude, it's time for a new show. Herr Doctor, please have mercy on us. It's time. Finally, that leaves Meeples and Miniatures. For a long time, I refused to even listen to this show and try it. But there's some good stuff on here. You have to run it through a sifter. Not all of it is stuff that I care about. But I think his second to the most recent, not the most recent, but the one before that show, is pretty interesting. He has an interview with, I think the guy's name is Mustafa. But it's a guy who's done a lot of Napoleonic miniatures rules. And there's a certain place in my heart for that Napoleonic stuff. It's all been on the back burner for quite a while now, but it's going to come out in a big way here after Christmas when I'm done with Osfront. But yeah, the Mustafa, as I said, who's done a number of Napoleonic stuff, specifically his latest, I think, which is Blucher, or Blucher, if you will. So check that out. Why am I telling you this? There's no real agenda behind it. Just sharing some information. Hopefully you guys will go and enjoy some of this stuff the same way that I have. That's it. And then I suppose a little bit of news, not much. We've got the last, not the, actually it's just last Blitzkrieg. And I'm glad they didn't put a the in front of the title. Anything with the in front of the title, it just rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, last Blitzkrieg, M&P's new game. And I'm already hearing out there tons of sighs and yawns and people clicking off. Yeah, I know. It's another bulge game. My God, how many of them are there? How many will continue to be produced? You're just going to have to accept it. It's going to keep happening. But you have to learn to weed out the good from the bad. And I think I'm going to give you a heads up. And this is just my opinion, which means nothing. But I think you're going to want to pick this up. Not because it's from M&P. Yes, I'm an M&P fanboy, self-professed. I'm not ashamed. Yes, but this game seems like it might be the one. And it's not as it's a new system. It's not as complicated as OCS or the standard combat series. It's a battalion, I believe, battalion combat series, and it looks pretty good. In fact, if you go to M&P's site, Dean Essig, the designer, and big fan of Dean Essig, the guy is he knows what's up. Anyway, he is unselfishly provided, I think, 10 pages of designer notes regarding this thing. Now, it's not out yet. It will be, but that's pretty cool. A game that hasn't been released yet. You can read what was going on in a designer's head at the time. I really enjoy that. Get into the nuts and bolts of the thing. So check that out for sure. It's some good reading there. And then that brings us to, let's do a top 10. Hadn't done it in a while. Just for giggles. And every time I do this, it doesn't surprise me. It's all fairly predictable. I won't switch it up and do a weird top 10. We'll just do a straight up top 10. Starting with Commands and Colors Ancients. And this is top 10, obviously, according to Board Game Geek. Commands and Colors Ancients came out in 2006. As I've already stated, I'm not the biggest Ancients fan. I don't know that I've ever played an Ancients game, much less this. And it should be no surprise it's a GMT product. And I'm very suspect. No offense to GMT. It's not necessarily anything they are doing personally. But it always seems like the ratings are so stacked in favor of GMT, and I don't get that. I guess I do get it because it's a bigger company than a lot of these other companies, and as you know, that shouldn't matter because a quality game uh, should not have to depend on the size of the company that puts it out. But I'm telling you, that seems to be 90% of the case here with these board game geek ratings, with GMTs all over here. Um, that said, that brings us to number 9. Hannibal Rome versus Carthage came out in '96, and I'm going to eat my words already. This is not a GMT game. This, well, a number of people have produced it, but let's see. Most recently, I think Valley Games, and then Avalon Hill, and then a couple other. Actually, one, two, three, four, about 5 other companies. I'm not sure how that's even possible, because a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 companies apparently have their each their own version of this game, which is quite interesting. But you know what? You might not be aware of this. Mark Simonich is the guy that designed it, and of course, Mark known for a number of things. In my world, most notably for some World War II stuff, but that's Mark Simonich. Hannibal Rome versus Carthage. And then number 8, Sekigahara, the Unification of Japan. Back to the GMT grind. 2011. This is actually a really cool game, though. Block game that deals with this samurai era in Japan. I own it, played it. Very cool. Even if you don't like samurai stuff, that whole Shogun era, the mechanics of it are pretty darn cool. That brings us to number 7, Virgin Queen, came out in 2012. This was designed by Ed Beach. And again, I've done these lists before, these top 10 lists, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything about it. I haven't played it. I'm sure a lot of people like it, but I don't know a thing about it. Combat Commander Europe, a game that I feel is, no offense, but overrated. It's a fine game. Yes, I've played it. Yeah, I'm not going to get into all the ramifications of just what the problem is. Other than I guess I don't like card-driven games. I can do card-assisted games and be okay. But yeah, it's I'd rather do Conflict of Heroes than this. And then given obviously the ultimate choice, it's going to be ASL. But I can see why a lot of people enjoy it, especially if you've never played ASL or a number of things. You pick this up first, you're going to think it's fantastic. You just are. You're going to think it's great, and you're never going to want to put it down for a long time. But hey, guys, those of you that broke into the hobby with this thing, there's a lot of other stuff out there, and I highly recommend. Um, don't just continue to be married to this thing. Maybe cheat on it a little bit with some other things, because trust me, there's a lot of great games out there. That's Combat Commander Europe. Guess what? GMT game. Here I Stand, 2006. And Ed Beach again. GMT games. Again, a game I don't know anything about. I haven't played it. I don't own it. I don't care to own it. I don't care to play it. That doesn't mean it's not a good game. Does that mean it still needs to be at number 5? I don't know. Haven't played it. Number 4, D-Day at Omaha Beach. Now, here's an embarrassing confession. I have been told that I would love this game. I have been told to please, I've actually been begged to please play this game. You'll think it's great. I finally got a hold of it because my brother, and this is another story I've already told, got it, no longer has it. I have it, his old copy. So there's no reason I can't play this thing. And someday I will. Don't know why I haven't yet. John Butterfield is, his name alone is now legendary. It's safe to say that. And it's a Butterfield design. Decision Games, and this system, this solitaire, it's a solitary game, but the system has now gone on to embed itself in a number of alike or similar games from Decision Games with this system. So for those of you out there that game solitaire, especially, that's the reason you're going to play this. Yes, it's a World War II game, um, but primarily play this for the solitaire mechanic. And why can I recommend this? Because I haven't played it, because I've heard so much about it, because I've read so much about it. Um, that's why. Combat Commander Pacific, another GMT game, number 3, and I'm confused. See, this really puzzles me. How you can have Combat Commander Europe as number 6, Combat Commander Pacific is number 3. I guess there's that many people voting. You got to vote on these things to get them where they are. Again, all I can say is I will always be suspect of this game ranking system. Paths of Glory number 2, 1999. This is a GMT game, but it's a damn good game, and it deserves to be up here somewhere. Ted Rasier, if you haven't played it, give it a shot, see what you think. It's money well spent, so give that a look. World War I stuff. And then number 1, Twilight Struggle. I don't know that anything will ever lodge this from the number 1 space, but the day that happens, if I'm not the first to notice, somebody please send me an email, because I will immediately leave, buy a bottle of Corbel, what is it, champagne, chill it, pop open the cork, and proceed to down the whole bottle. I will party the rest of the night, clothing optional, whoever wants to hang can hang, and celebrate the topple, the overthrow, the end of an era that was Twilight Struggle. Why do I hate this game? I don't hate this game. The game doesn't belong here in the number 1 spot in the wargame rankings. It belongs somewhere else. Anyway, that's enough of that. And there's your top 10 list. So that brings us to the bulk of the show, the meat of the matter. And the meat of the matter of this episode will not be of great length, but it will cover something that, and again, I can't remember if I've covered this in the past. If I did, it was briefly, but it's something that is easily taken for granted, overlooked, is something that one, it's like you're at a party, and then there's somebody who is standing kind of in the corner to the back. You don't know they're there, but they're there because they don't necessarily make themselves so their presence so obvious. Okay, I'll stop with all that. I'm talking about random events. The stuff has its place in wargaming, and I think it was recently, came across something that said, how do you guys, it was a thread that had gotten started on the Geek, and it more or less consisted of how do you guys feel about random events, and do they have a place in war games, and to what extent should they be in there, if at all? Well, they need to be in there, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Namely, it ensures, or rather counteracts, 100% control of the player or players, if that makes any sense. Sure it does. A game can become something that is, like I said, controllable, to the extent that, well, nothing random occurs. Random things should occur. Random things do occur. A game is a model of a system, and the systems that they are modeling consist of a randomness, and you have randomness in the dice. I get that, but specifically, random events additionally add a they can add a narrative. They can flesh out a plot. They're kind of invaluable, in my opinion. Now, can you overdo it? Sure, you can. You can have random events that swing the game in favor of one player or the other. The outcome of a game can hinge on a single random event. Should it? No. Do they? Yes. Um, but random events definitely have their place. They do not need to go away. They will continue, hopefully, to comfort us through our game playing, as well as discomfort us. That's their job. So I'm going to pause for a second, take a quick break, and then we'll get into some of the more interesting examples of random events in war games. And for some of you, again, who read the Hexes and Soldiers Facebook page, some of these I will have already posted. But for many of you, you don't read that or you miss the posts. So you'll get a chance to hear about them here. So I'll catch you guys in a second. All right, one of my all-time favorite games is Ambush. It's a great solitaire game. It's probably the closest you will get to, say, role playing without it actually being a role playing game because of the narrative. Because the way the game is works is as you move across the map, you check various hexes for events and whatnot. But as you do so, occasionally you'll come across random events. And again, the random events that I talk about from here on out are atypical. They are the black sheep of the random events world, but they're entertaining to say the least. So, if you go to paragraph, and I seriously doubt this will ruin anybody's experience by way of spoilers. If you've yet to play Ambush, if you're afraid that it will, I guess plug your ears. Random Event 998 says, if this game is ever published, roll one die. 0 to 1, Bob kills John for changing his ambush design. 2 or 3, John kills Eric for changing his ambush design. 4 or 5, Mark kills John for not finishing his ambush design. 6 or 7, Eric kills Mark for assigning him ambush to design. And finally, 8 or 9, Bob, John, Eric, and Mark torture and ultimately kill Mike for thinking up the idea of doing ambush in the first place. So I thought that was kind of interesting there. And again, I should add that these random events that are in here are very few. The bulk of it does not consist of these things. The bulk of it consists of more directly realistic game-related stuff, such as activating Germans, what these Germans might do, etc. Another one is 898. It says an ugly dragon with blood dripping from his teeth enters the map from the north in Hex T1. He's hungry for meat and wants your squad for his next meal. Your men draw his attention with rifle fire. Then Sarge yells, "No free lunch today, slime ball," as he polishes him off with a bazooka round between the eyes. See, now, doesn't affect the game one way or another, but it's entertaining, and I appreciate that. Another example, 499, paragraph 499. Your soldier has entered a Flaubert novel. It's a French author. I wouldn't recommend anybody actually read him. Having walked into the house's parlor, he now faces Emma Bovary, which I believe is one of the characters of one of his novels. Her face, seen in profile, was so calm that it gave him no hint. It stood out against the light framed in the oval of her bonnet, whose pale ribbons were like streaming reeds. Her eyes, with their long curving lashes, looked straight ahead. They were fully open, but seemed a little narrowed because of the blood that was pulsing gently under the fine skin of her cheekbones. The rosy flesh between her nostrils was all but transparent in the light. She was inclining her head to one side, and the pearly tips of her white teeth showed between her lips. Is she laughing at me? Your soldier wonders. Paragraph 093. In the basement of the house, you find a beautiful French girl with dark hair, brown eyes, and a feline air. You fall in love immediately and propose marriage. She accepts. If your soldier survives this mission, he takes the French girl back to Texas with him and marries her. If he does not survive, the girl becomes a nun. And then finally, we have paragraph 068. It says activate 4 Martians in the hex H15 hovering. They have their neuroatomizers set to dissolve brain tissue. You lose 2 victory points for each U.S. soldier who has his brain dissolved. So that's just some of the flavor that the designers added to the game Ambush. Again, it is atypical. Not a lot of that stuff in here, but I appreciate it, and I'm glad it's in here because you can't take yourself too seriously. You got to have some sort of lightheartedness in this stuff, and the bulk, like I said, the bulk of this stuff is serious enough, uh, and it's great stuff too. I might add, it almost builds a story based on the scenarios. So, for instance, you have here's an actual serious one. Soldier sees a wounded pilot in the cockpit of a downed plane, and the pilot shouts, "Hello, mate, she's about to blow. Can you lend us a hand?" If a crumpled wing strut is forced aside, the pilot will crawl from the wreckage. If in action rounds, a non-wounded soldier must spend 2 actions to free the pilot. If in operations, a non-wounded soldier may do so simply by declaring his intent and making 1 event check. So there's all kinds of these things that are going on that kind of break the game up and add, like I said, add some narrative flair. Everything from finding, you can find a random Kubel wagon or a bunker or who knows what. There's just a ton of stuff. And another example, and then I'll shut up about Ambush, is as simple as you find a pack of German cigarettes on the ground. Now that might seem trivial or insignificant, but that is the kind of detail that I think is awesome in a game. And of course it works in this game because you have awareness checks. And that, of course, would trigger an awareness check to see if there's a German nearby. It's great stuff. If you haven't played it, do so. It's a moldy but goodie. It's aging well. It's not outdated in my opinion. The mechanics of the thing hold up just fine. Definitely run out and grab Ambush if you haven't. That brings us to one of my my all-time favorite game, ASL. You knew I'd go there eventually. And they have there's Solitaire ASL, Sassel, and a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. It's not necessarily the easiest system to grasp. I guess maybe for some of you it is, but it entails some work to learn and play. But there are some random events tables included in here. In fact, about 3 pages of them. And one of the more interesting ones states, 1 randomly determined friendly infantry unit in the location discovers a sultry peasant girl. The friendly unit immediately becomes temporarily immobile for a number, as per a die roll, plus 1 die roll modifier per half squad of the unit, if any, of game turns or portions thereof, or until the friendly unit is broken or captured. Unless broken or captured, the unit is marked critically exhausted when the temporarily immobile counter is removed. I always found that somewhat interesting. That why is the guy exhausted? What are you implying there? And and I've stated this before, but shouldn't the guy battle harden instead? Okay, that's a bad joke. But anyway, again, that's another example of some of the off-the-wall stuff, and I'm not sure why this has all started to become off-the-wall accounts. Preface this by stating the importance of random events, and everything I've talked about so far could easily be withheld from the game, but again, I appreciate it, and bottom line is the random events need to be in here. It can drive the game to an extent. You don't want it to completely drive it, but again, you need stuff in here, a kind of a narrative that can weave a kind of narrative thread, if you will. I mean, For instance, one randomly determined good order friendly infantry unit in a location discovers a dead enemy officer. Upon inspecting the body, the unit discovers what suspects to be important documents and tucks them away. How else are you going to replicate that in a game unless it's a random event? It serves a purpose. It's got to be in there. That brings us to that's just a couple from ASL, and there's a ton, trust me, in that Sassel stuff. But that brings us to another game, which ties into Mr. John Krantz, who I talked about earlier, and that would be the Hunters. Hunters is a great game. I've played it, enjoyed it. I don't know. Well, I haven't played everything, so I can't know. But I'm telling you, as far as the development of this thing goes, I don't know that they could have done a better job. It is so streamlined. It is so smooth. Everything works flawlessly. The charts, which there are quite a few of, but the game depends on it. The charts, everything jives, makes sense. It's beautiful as you're playing it, and everything's serving its purpose and functioning. It's just a well-oiled machine. I don't know how else to put it. There isn't anything that I'm aware of that proves ambiguous or contradictory. Everything is succinct, and I don't want to say the thing's perfect, but it's damn near close. And it's a great game to boot. So should you get this game if you don't have it? Yes. Anyway, enough about that. If you look at the random events page, you're going to roll 2 dice 6. The first roll, that is to say the lowest roll, which is a 2, is man overboard. And if you listen to I've Been Diced with the interview with John, he talks about this briefly, but he recounts a story in which somebody says, "Hey man, I rolled on that and died." So how disheartening to be a U-boat commander and roll on this random events table and just slip off the deck and drown. And that might go against what I said about a random event making or breaking a game. In fact, I guess it does. The chances of it happening are very minimal. Nevertheless, I can live with that. That works. That's that's the nature of being on a submarine in the Atlantic Ocean. It's not like it's not like the most calm, relaxed thing. I mean, I don't know, for lack of a better term, it was treacherous and dangerous for a person to be on the deck and a wave crash into you and get thrown off, or slip and hit your head and be concussed and knocked out and drown. That's not such a stretch of the imagination for me. Again, anyway, there's some other things in here as well, and God, every time I look at this thing, this game is just so awesome. Man, it really inspires and gives hope for the future of wargaming, that something like this can be produced. It's, you get tired of seeing games that are just, it looks like they're just pumped out to pump them out. Why do that? Why make a game that has no soul? You know what I mean? It's just empty and dead. Yeah, hollow. This thing, it's got a soul. Have I said enough good things about it? No, I can't say enough good things about it. But to run through some of the other events, I guess, before I close the lid and pry it away from my warm, undying hands. Caught unawares, you've got aircraft that attack out of the sun. Gyro compass failure. Superior torpedoes. Spare parts received from sister ship. Then you've got Hals und Beinbruch, which literally means neck and leg break. This is a slang term for good luck, which allows you to re-roll any single die or dice roll. Now, this is a fairly common thing throughout games, the ability to re-roll dice rolls, and it's an easy way to make you feel like you're not being so controlled by the fate of the dice. A lot of people complain and say, "Oh, I could have won if the dice rolls weren't so sucky," or "the dice weren't with me today." We all know somebody like that, probably ourselves. But that's an easy way to counterbalance that. The fate versus luck thing. Luftwaffe recon, weather reporting duty, torpedo breaks loose, another kind of freak random event. A torpedo breaks loose from restraints during servicing. Severe storm, a swim call. The commandant decides to allow the crew a short swim break. An officer slips, hits his head on the deck, and is killed. See, look at that. Come on, man. That's almost as good as man overboard. That's great. Anyway, you get the point, and I will admire this thing more in my own leisure. I'll let you guys be. But that's the Hunters, and my God, honestly, I'll say it again. Just a beautiful, beautiful design, smooth, streamlined. I don't know how. It just boggles my mind that with the existence of a game like this, that there can be such confounded, incomprehensible, hard to understand junk out there. It's why. Anyway, that's enough about that. That's the Hunters. Pick that up as well. So that's a couple of games actually you should run out and grab. Ambush if you're into solo stuff, and Hunters too. Again, it's designed to be played solo, and you don't have to. In fact, in a lot of these conventions, they have head-to-head tournaments with the Hunters, which is very cool too. And I should add that the newest addition in his submarine foray, John's submarine foray, that takes place in the Pacific Theater, will be coming out eventually. Now that doesn't pique my interest as much as the wolf packs prowling around the Atlantic, but if it's as good as the Hunters, then the system is just sells itself, in my opinion. So that's that. Brings us to another game. Lots of games. Open Fire, solitaire tank game. This is kind of the armored version of Ambush. So for those of you that wished, the infantry thing is cool and all, but if only there was a tank game like that with paragraphs. Well, there is. It's called Open Fire. 1988 Victory Games, which was also the publishing house that pumped out Ambush. Victory Games. Victory Games, great stuff. Avalon Hill, good. Very good, actually. But something about Victory Games, it was a little notch or two above Avalon Hill with the stuff they were pumping out. But if you go to paragraph 218 in Open Fire, states, 7th game of the World Series, top of the 9th, 2 out. Scoreless tie between Gooden and Seaver. I guess they're talking about Doc Gooden. Back in the day, Dykstra up for the Mets. Seaver tries to bust Lenny inside. Lenny promptly lines the ball to deep right center. Armas going after it. Bounces wildly back into center field off the bullpen wall as Dykstra rounds second. Armas, knowing Dykstra's speed, tries to grab for it too soon and fumbles it. Dykstra approaches third. He's given a green light from Buddy Harrelson to try for home. The relay from Barrett arrives in Gedman's glove just as Dykstra barrels into him. To see if Gedman holds on to the ball, see paragraph 706. Now, how cool is that? Does it serve a real purpose? No. But I appreciate that. Again, the bulk of the paragraphs themselves do not entirely consist of this stuff. It's just sprinkled in there for your entertainment. As far as recommending this, I would get Ambush first. Not that this is a bad game. It's not. But get Ambush first, and if you if like that, in fact, there's a ton of modules for Ambush, so it's hard to get tired of it. But if and when you do get tired of it, then you can move on to Open Fire and have at it with some tanks. But that's Open Fire, and that's just one example of some of the stuff you can find in there. Of course, random events can serve a more and should serve a more serious purpose. I'll end with, on that note, Patton's best. Now, if you want a game, solitaire game, tank game, armor, this is what you want. In fact, I have a love-hate now, at least a love-hate relationship to this thing. If for no other reason, because probably there would be no Ostfront project if it weren't for Patton's Best, because I was directly inspired by this thing. Of course, mine takes place on the Eastern Front with the infantry, but I blame this game. It's its fault. My sanity would probably still be at hand. I would probably have more hair on my head. All kinds of things. I blame it all on you, Patton's Best. Damn good game, though, and we'll round out some more serious examples and then let you guys get out of here. But clever way of dealing with time, and I've stated this in the past, that Patton's Best is hinges heavily on time passages, with 15-minute increments passing for specific actions as you're doing things in the tank, waiting for things, etc. Time is passing, and I like that to an extent. It can get kind of tedious, but it works in this game. I wouldn't use it in any design of my own. But time passes, so you roll on this random events table, and there's 10 possibilities here, one being time passes. Now, again, that's important because time can be too perfectly incremental within the game. Things become predictable. It isn't always like that, and the feeling of, wow, where did time go? Next thing you know, it's like you're here 1 second, you hear the next, all that stuff. This can be dealt with via random event to help slow or speed things along. You've got friendly artillery strike that can occur, an enemy artillery strike, mines. In fact, a lot of games throw in mines as a common random event. Panzerfaust attack, harassing fire, friendly advance, enemy reinforcement, enemy advance and flanking fire. This is how Patton's Best incorporates random events. And, they keep it kind of low key here. Like I said, only 10 of them. To be honest with you, I wish they would have added more. In fact, this game is so full of charts. I mean, honestly, when you look at a game like this, Patton's Best, you really are looking at, well, what would now be a computer game, obviously, but we weren't there yet when this came out. Not that we didn't have computers, but to be honest with you, in learning and playing this stuff, you really were functioning as a computer and doing all the things that a computer would do for you with a game. It's pretty interesting to consider that. But just, yeah, charts after charts after charts after charts after charts, and that's a good thing because it needs it in order for the system to work. But probably could have thrown some more random events in here. The fact that they didn't, I'm sure they have their own reasons for that. And that's probably it as far as covering random events. There are probably 5,000 games out there that have their own style, flair, flavor of random events. I know the Gamers Napoleonic series has some very cool random events stuff that can take place, for instance. But yeah, a lot of stuff. Looking back on it, I think in retrospect, solitaire games may tend to have more random events than non-solitaire games, and that's the reason for that, I think, is obvious. But tons of random events out there. So to answer the initial question, should they be in games? Well, yeah, they should be in games. To what extent? Well, I don't know. I guess that's up to the designer. But again, it shouldn't be to such an extent that it makes or breaks a game. easily. Let's put it that way, because you could say, well, a hunter's you're gonna slip off, hit your head, and then your game's over. I get that, but there should be a line, is what I'm trying to say, and to cross that line obviously would be too much. But the things need to be in here. They have their place. They have their role. If you do it right, it can be a really game-enhancing experience. At least that's been my take on it when playing so many games. I don't think I've ever played a game where a random event I felt was superfluous, or my God, I could have won this game if not for random event X. Uh, Most, if not all, the games that I've played, the random events are handled very smartly. Let's put it that way. So, enough rambling. Yes, random events have their place in war games. Don't be persuaded otherwise by the naysayers. And it's going to be in Ostfront. In fact, I've got a basic sheet of random events that can take place in game as you're rolling. But in addition to that, I've got some pre-game, that's to say before a battle or an engagement sets off. Another whole nother random event sheet that takes place and handles things pre-engagement. So they are in there. Nothing in there makes or breaks the game, in my opinion. But it adds, again, flair and flavor. And you want to try, at least well, I am trying, to weave a sort of a narrative plot line with these things. Otherwise, you risk just rolling dice, and you can feel kind of alienated from what you're doing. The game can seem you can seem estranged from the game, if that makes any sense. Especially with a game that has a linear progression of history, you want to try and tie scenarios together. A great way to do that is through some random events that, like a sewing needle and a thread, pull these what would otherwise be separate entities together, such that you have a progression that is like a story. So that's it. I'll shut up. Also, to recap, burnout's going to happen. Nothing you can do about it. The more you game, the more you risk it. Don't freak out. No point in freaking out. Number of ways to deal with it. I've already recommended my method. Do a full-blown 7-day cleanse. No gaming, no rule books in the bathroom, no wargame podcast, no most of all, no counter pushing. Stay away from it. And when you come back, that makeup gaming is going to be sweet. So that's it for episode number 41. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A little less structured and probably historically informative than you may have preferred. But that episode's coming, and I'll put on the broken record here on the turntable ready. Put the needle down. Waterloo episode. That's all I'll say. For any of you that have been listening to this show, you'll know what that means. With that, I'll let you guys get out of here. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. And thanks for everything, really, that you guys have done with this show, and clicking thumbs and clicking likes on Facebook pages and blogs and all the above. It's all appreciated, and it makes it all worthwhile. Hope you guys enjoy it, and have a great week. Bye.